Right now, the latest on a deadly terrorist attack in New Orleans, a group affected here in Wisconsin, and the safety measures in place in Madison to prevent something similar from happening here.
Plus, the Wisconsin Election Commission is weighing in on the nearly 200 misplaced ballots found in Madison. The policy change is planned.
And respiratory viruses continue to spread across the country. What to look for in the latest norovirus outbreak.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5. And to get us started, we take a look at your firstborn forecast. Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington out on the weather patio. How's it feeling out there, Alex?
It feels like January for a change. We've had those temperatures so mild recently. We had rain over the holiday, or the last holiday rather. And when you look outside, you'd think, oh gosh, it's pretty mild out here. For January, it's feeling like it should out here, but it just doesn't look like January. That's going to be part of our weather story over the course of the next 30 minutes. First, the temperatures and the wind chills, and then a weather system that we're tracking for Sunday. The current temperature in Madison right now, 27 in Lone Rock, 27 in Janesville, and 23 to the north, Camp Douglas. Again, these are temperatures where we should be for this time of year. But you factor in a little bit of a breeze starting to kick up here. Feels like 20 in Madison, 14 in the Dells, and still hanging on to 28 in Platteville. Their winds must be light currently in Platteville. Right now, the wind in Madison, 6. Now, that's our actual wind speed. Gusts are going to be starting to go up, and that's going to bring those wind chills right now at 20 down even further as we plan our night. Look at the bottom number here. As we get to 6 o'clock, down to 17. That's what it'll feel like. It'll feel like 10 at 10 p.m. in Madison, and that's a thing to come. Sub-zero wind chills are part of the 3 things you need to know as we turn colder, and also keeping an eye on a weather system. I'm going to give you a glimpse using future track of that weather system on Sunday and how far north it may get.
Alex, thank you. We are learning more about the man the FBI says is responsible for the New Year's Day terror attack in New Orleans.
Police say that 14 people have been killed and dozens more are injured when a truck intentionally rammed into a crowd of people in the city's French Quarter. That attacker was then killed by police in a shootout. In a recent press briefing, the FBI now says the man acted alone after receiving call records, interviews, and other investigations. Bourbon Street reopened to pedestrian traffic this afternoon ahead of the start of the Sugar Bowl, which was delayed due to the tragedy. And right now, people from all over are sending messages of hope after the attack, including the Milwaukee Dancing Grannies. It's a group who experienced a similar incident during the Waukesha Christmas Parade tragedy. 6 people were killed in that attack, including 3 members of that performance group.
I'm tired of posting the "I'm so sorry, our hearts are with you" on our granny main page, because we know what this is like.
Following the parade tragedy, the renowned 610 Stompers of New Orleans formed a connection with the Dancing Grannies. The Grannies performed at Mardi Gras in New Orleans in February of 2023 at the invitation of the 610 Stompers.
And whether it's the Dane County Farmers Market or Badger Football Saturdays on Breeze Terrace, Madison hosts its fair share of pedestrian events.
So following the events in New Orleans, our Maddie Heimsch took to the streets to check out our safety measures here in Madison.
It's a quiet day on State Street today, but throughout the year, hundreds or even thousands can fill the entire street. Madison Police Chief Sean Barnes says during special events, when people and vehicles are sharing the road, MPD uses both physical barricades and logistical planning to protect pedestrians.
We do an operational plan, and part of that operational plan is looking at areas where we may be vulnerable. It's having that plan looked at by other members of the department. It's looking at the historical factors. It's looking at our intelligence unit to see if there's been any threats against people.
Many of those well-known and well-attended events are put on by Madison's Central Business Improvement District. The district's executive director, Matt Trammell, tells me in a statement that BID staff members are certified in crowd management training and work closely with the city on emergency action plans. Reporting on State Street, I'm Maddie Heimsch, News 3 Now.
Police in Las Vegas say that a Tesla Cybertruck explosion in front of President-elect Donald Trump's hotel there is being investigated as a possible act of terrorism. They're also working to determine whether this is connected to the terror attack in New Orleans. Authorities say 37-year-old Matthew Livelsberger was the driver and the one who set off the explosion. Livelsberger served in Afghanistan as a Green Beret and allegedly shot himself before detonating a bomb in the truck.
U.S. mortgage rates are on a rise. A standard 30-year fixed rate mortgage was nearly 7% in the final week of 2024, according to Freddie Mac. The financing giant says that's a highest level in nearly 6 months. Analysts say these increased rates are making it more difficult for would-be homebuyers. The mortgage rate hikes have come despite the Federal Reserve cutting interest rates 3 times in 2024.
The city of Madison under fire today for misplacing close to 200 ballots during the November election.
The Wisconsin Election Commission is now investigating how the city handled the process. Political reporter Will Keneally is here with more.
Well, this is actually the first time that the Wisconsin Elections Commission has ever done an investigation like this. Now, the bipartisan commission is saying that they have more questions than answers.
We have no additional information. And that's why I think an investigation is important.
That's the call from the 6-member commission that oversees elections in Wisconsin. Democrats and Republicans agreeing something went wrong in Madison.
Given the seriousness of what happened here, our lack of knowledge, information that was not given to us in a timely fashion, I think we need to do something more formal.
Here's the timeline for what happened. Madison officials discovered 68 absentee ballots that were not counted. Now, this was on November 12th. That happened before November 29th when the Elections Commission certified the election results. A few days later, Madison found more uncounted ballots, but waited a couple weeks before letting the State Elections Commission know.
I suppose my biggest concern here is why it took a month and a half for this to come out. And that's very, very disturbing.
The commissioners are looking to resolve this quickly, however. Nomination papers for the spring election are due next week.
I'm not looking at this as a punishment or something we need to investigate. We need it because of a wrongdoing. We need to investigate it to make sure it goes smooth in the future and that we don't have any other problems.
Now, in response to the investigation, Madison Mayor tells us that she will work with the investigation. She says in a statement that, "I agree that an investigation can help provide transparency and accountability, as well as hopefully provide lessons that all Wisconsin clerks can learn to prevent similar errors in the future."
Will, thank you. Wisconsin's voting power has increased in the last election. That's according to the website Daily KOS. The data is centered around Voter Power Index, which measures relative power of a single person's vote. Researchers take the state's electoral vote count and divide it by the raw margin of victory. In the last election, Wisconsin voters held nearly twice as much voting power over voters of other states. The research also found that in the 2016 election, if a Massachusetts voter moved to New Hampshire, they could have increased their voting power by roughly 120 times.
In a large political endorsement today, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer threw his support behind Wisconsin Democratic Party Chair Ben Wickler to lead the Democratic National Committee. Schumer praised Wickler's track record, calling him a, quote, tenacious organizer, sharp communicator, and proven winner. Wickler has already been endorsed by groups across the Democratic spectrum and thanks Schumer for his support, pledging to unite the party and focus on the needs of working families. Schumer, in his endorsement, added, quote, that under Wickler's leadership, Wisconsin Democrats have become the most formidable fundraising and organizing machines in the entire country. I am confident I will bring the same record of success to the national party, end quote.
Milwaukee saw the highest voter turnout percentage of the largest 50 cities in the United States this election cycle. According to reporting from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, more than 85% of registered voters in Milwaukee cast ballots in November, compared to 4 largest cities that saw just 70% turnout. The numbers get even higher when looking at Milwaukee County. Of roughly 520,000 voters registered, over 465,000 cast their ballots, amounting to an 89% voter turnout.
The Juneau County Sheriff's Office is sharing a new photo of the person of interest in the deaths of 3 people, including 2 children, at a New Lisbon home. This picture is of Virgil Thu, who is the person of interest, and it was taken at a New Lisbon Dollar General on Sunday. Thu is about 150 pounds and 5'10". He is considered armed and dangerous. If you see him, do not approach and call 911.
A man who was found unresponsive in Madison police custody on Monday has died. The man was a suspect in a vehicle theft at the Best Western Hotel on Anamark Drive. Officers took him into custody after a foot chase. The man was then taken to the Dane County Jail, where he was found unresponsive. He was then taken to the hospital. Today, police say the 32-year-old man has died on Tuesday.
In Waukesha County, a 4K student has been killed by a school bus in the parking lot of Silver Spring Intermediate School. This morning around 8:30, the child was transferring to a shuttle bus bound for Willow Springs Learning Center when the incident happened. The Waukesha County Sheriff's Office says the bus was carrying students at the time and the driver is fully cooperating with the investigation. In response, the Hamilton School District has canceled all classes for tomorrow and expressed condolences for the family and community. Well, illnesses on cruise ships have hit a 12-year high. New data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention show there were outbreaks on 16 different cruise ships in 2024, with the majority being norovirus cases. More than 2,000 passengers and crew were impacted. The CDC says norovirus cases have been on the rise in the U.S., but they tend to be more commonly spread in crowded environments like cruise ships.
And recent data from the U.S. Center of Disease Control and Prevention shows there were 91 outbreaks the week of December 5th, up from 69 the last week of November. Symptoms can include vomiting and diarrhea, nausea and stomach pain, body aches, headaches, and fever. The illness is highly contagious and not easily treatable.
There's really no specific treatment for norovirus. The key is to stay hydrated. So especially little infants, the elderly may have trouble keeping up with that. So that is the key to treating this.
Preventing norovirus cases comes to washing hands well, not preparing food if showing symptoms, and cleaning surfaces with disinfectants.
Just ahead, Alex gives us a full look at the first warn forecast. A cold and dry spell heading into the weekend.
Then a son and father's reunion in Milwaukee ruined by a drunk driver. His story and plea so that no one has to have the same experience of heartbreak.
And on Wall Street today, stocks dipping lower. The Dow Jones lost roughly 152 points, the Nasdaq is down 30, and the S&P 500 sheds 13 points. We'll be right back.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
A father and son were hoping to reunite for the holidays after 25 years apart.
But that reunion ended up taking place in a hospital room after the father was the victim of an alleged drunk driver. Glenda Valdez has the story.
I haven't spent the holidays with my father for many years.
Jorge flew into Chicago from Mexico to reconnect with his dad, Alberto. But when Alberto didn't show up at the train station to pick him up, Jorge says he panicked.
How did you feel at that moment, just not knowing where your father was?
It's kind of many emotions at the same time, you know.
Alberto was in the hospital with multiple broken bones, a brain bleed, and damage to his heart. Police say a drunk driver hit him on Saturday while he was in downtown Waukesha and left him in the street.
You can leave people almost dying in the road because if the women that called 911 didn't call 911, my dad will be or could be dead right now.
Jorge says his dad worked tirelessly at Lake House Cafe in Oconomowoc to send money to his family in Mexico. Now he's spending his time at his dad's hospital bed.
My dad is my hero. You know, he came all this time ago here and worked hard for us to give us everything. You know, he helps all the family there in Mexico. And, you know, in one word, he's my hero.
On Monday, the woman accused of hitting Alberto faced a judge. Tara Felting is charged with hit and run and intoxicated use of a vehicle, her third OWI. Jorge has this message for Felton and others who get behind the wheel.
Please don't drive and drink. He was on the road almost dying, you know. You have to be responsible about your stuff.
The family started a GoFundMe to help cover the growing medical bills.
2025 kicks off with one of the strongest and quickest meteor showers of the year. NASA says the quadrantids will peak for about 6 hours tomorrow. The best time to spot the meteor shower will be during the pre-dawn hours. An expert says sky gazers on the east coast of North America may see up to 25 meteors streaking across the skies. Those on the west could see double that amount due to a later sunrise. If the skies remain clear over western Alaska, viewers could see more than 100 meteors per hour.
But if you wanted to get up before dawn tomorrow, Alex, it might be a very chilly look at the meteor. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely going to need to bundle up. But we will be eventually turning partly cloudy tonight. So with the clouds slowly starting to clear at least a little bit, a few patches of those, at least being able to look up, hopefully be able to see one of those meteors. But cold for sure. If you're going to be doing any viewing, the wind chill factor, you might be wondering, why aren't you showing me the temperature, Alex? Well, it's the wind chill that's the most important because this is what your body's reacting to with the combo of the actual air temperature and the wind, and it feels like 20 in Madison, 14 in the Dells, 9 up towards Watoma. You might be thinking, well, Alex, this is pretty typical for January, and it is. The actual temperature, normal for January. With the west wind at 6, we got a wind chill factor of 20. This isn't going to last for very long. As we go through the evening tonight, by the time you join us between 9 and 10 o'clock for the 10 o'clock newscast, that's when we're going to see those wind chills go below 10, going down into the single digits, and they're going to get even colder than that. Waking up to Friday morning, wind chills as cold as -2 in Madison, -4 in the Dells, -7 in Camp Douglas, and hanging on to 0. That's the feels like factor in Janesville. And then let's fast forward here. We're going to go into the weekend. Now we've got double digits below 0. 10 below 0 is what it will feel like Saturday morning. As cold as -15 in Camp Douglas, -13 in Viroqua, and our friends in Janesville at -5. So you're going to need to bundle up here as part of the bottom line with our temperatures. Wind chills as cold as -5 tonight, -10 Friday night, and it's going to stay cold all the way through next week, which is also part of the 3 things you need to know. Turning colder, we have our sub-zero wind chills, and then this weather system that we've been keeping an eye on for days now for Sunday. What's the latest on that? Well, where is it right now? Well, we can see that on Weather Track. There's a weather system entering a trough, an area of low pressure towards Seattle and Portland. That's going to scoot up over into the plains and then into the center part of the United States. But will it make it to southern Wisconsin? We can use Future Track to help us out with that. Clouds are building in as we go on into Saturday. As we go on into Sunday, a few clouds out there. We're getting the latest updates as we speak right now. Look at the snow here. As we go into Sunday afternoon and into Sunday evening, just barely scooting the Wisconsin-Illinois border. And then this may be a little bit of lake effect snow because we still have relatively warm Lake Michigan waters, and with northeast breezes, they may bring a few snow showers south and east of Madison as we go Sunday, perhaps into early Monday. So the bottom line is this. Track looks like it's going to be well to the south, low snow chances south of Madison, and this weather system with the cold air that we have in place will be battling the dry part of that cold air, so any snow that tries to make it to the ground is going to eventually have to overcome the dry air. That's our only snow chance we've got in there Sunday. The rest of the 7 to 10 days, promise you, it's going to be cold. Temperatures in the teens by day, single digits by night, and not any major winter storms as it looks like right now, but we'll keep a close tab on that weather system for Sunday going on into Monday.
Alex, thank you. And when we come back, people around the nation watched the Rose Parade in California.
And a select few got the chance to see the floats up close. Look at those.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
Welcome back. Many of you probably watched the Rose Parade and all of its beautiful floats on New Year's Day.
But now spectators have a chance to get up close look at those incredible displays in Pasadena, California. Rachel Kim takes us on a tour of Float Fest.
Visitors went wild over this year's Rose Parade sweepstakes winner from the San Diego Zoo. It's one of the 39 spectacular and colorful award-winning floats sitting along Sierra Madre and Washington Boulevards for Float Fest.
I love the Rose Parade, and then I like all the floats, and then it's cool to see it here in person.
Evie Pavlon and her family from Whittier drove to Pasadena to stop and smell the roses at Float Fest, a 2-mile showcase of Rose Parade floats where visitors can get an up-close look and appreciate the artistry and beauty of the floral masterpieces.
This is our first time. It was kind of inspiration for our kids to go.
Karen, what's your impression?
It's beautiful and not as crazy as we thought it was going to be, but it's so neat to see them in person and to smell them.
This year, there will be an additional day of Float Fest, meaning if you didn't go today, you still have Thursday and Friday.
We're open from 9 to 5 all 3 days. On day 2, our seniors and disabled, they can get here as early as from 7 to 9. That way they can meander easily. And then the general public opens on day 2 at 9 o'clock. On Friday, we're back open from 9 to 5.
This is the Kindness is Free float by the Boys and Girls Club of the San Gabriel Valley. The float is 55 feet long and is adorned with 20,000 flowers. It won the Bob Hope Humor Award for most amusing and whimsical float. The message here is simple acts of kindness can create positive ripple effects across communities. Seven, what did you think of all the floats?
They're beautiful.
4-year-old Seven Allen convinced her parents to drive from Corona to see the floats. Her mom is glad they did.
I mean, it's even more intricate up close, especially to see how they use different parts of the flowers, like the seeds and the stems. It's not just flowers. I think that's really cool.
My favorite was Wicked right here.
Brian Hadfield, his wife, 2 kids, and parents said, like the theme of this year's parade, this is the best day ever. How's Grandma, Grandpa, the kids holding up?
They're doing well. Now Noah's very excited. Now you can see what it takes to get these floats together. Definitely recommend this to anybody.
Rachel Kim, KCAL News.
Nearly 150,000 people are expected to attend Float Fest.
Very cool. A final check of the weather when we return.
Coming up tonight on the CBS Evening News, authorities still hunting down information on the deadly New Orleans attack that left 14 people dead. What we've uncovered about the suspect's history, that and more headlines tonight on the CBS Evening News.
Well, if you need inspiration to stick to your news resolution, then meet Dick Soderquist. He's an 85-year-old man who proves age is just a number by regularly skiing around the world. For 45 years, he shared the slopes with his late wife, Kathy, booking entire seasons of ski weekends. Now, even after her passing, Dick finds solace in the community in the Green Mountains of Vermont, hitting the first lift with his ski buddies. When asked how long he would keep doing it, he responded, "As long as my body will let me." When Soderquist isn't skiing, he says he's an avid tennis player.
At 85, wow.
Excellent work.
More
Pretty
athletic
impressive.
than I am.
I know, I can't ski alone, never mind every weekend. That's impressive.
Yeah. Skied once downhill and I went right into a tree, and it was not for me.
I've never skied downhill, and I would probably run into that same sort of fate as well as into a tree. And you'd think, hey, it's January. Where's the snow, Alex? I know we got some snow on some of our area slopes, but not out there on the ground. Do we have any in our forecast? Well, unfortunately not in our forecast. We've got plenty of cold air, but that weather system that could bring a little bit of snow looking like it's going to stay south of Madison as we go out towards Sunday. And the reason why that is it'll be battling cold, dry air across southern Wisconsin as it tries to move north. So at this point in time, it does look like the majority of that weather system is going to stay to the south. What is certainly going to be sticking around, the cold temperatures, highs in the day, barely getting to 20, lows in the single digits, clear out through that 7 to 10 day forecast. Coming up at 6, though, we'll be talking about if you have any travel to Lambeau. I got your practice forecast at 6 o'clock.
There we go. Very chilly game.
You got it. Yes.
All right. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you after CBS Evening News.